Hey, so the last time I covered this topic, it seemed one that many were interested in. I received a lot of feedback on people's thoughts on the series, whether they loved the show or hated it, whether or not they would be returning, and it allowed for a dialogue that pushed people in whatever anime watching direction was best for them. But most of all, I received questions as to when the second season of this show was releasing, and to that question I can respond confidently that
I don't know.
The release date for the show is rumored, keyword rumored, to be coming out later this year or early next year. But all of this is based purely off speculation. Now, what I can speak on is a more elaborative relay of what does go on in Season 2 so as to entice and serenade you into watching more. You gotta tickle that fancy, am I right? This video will be geared more towards those who saw that Thorfinn was not going to be as engaged in acts of horrendous violence and decided, I'm not watching that beta shit, get it the fuck out of here. To which I may reply, calm down, sweet cheeks. I never said that acts of horrendous violence were non-existent, so you can still get your fix. It's just that Thorfinn goes through a little something called character development. The process of building a unique, three-dimensional character with depth, personality, and clear motivations. Character development can also refer to the changes a character undergoes over the course of a story as a result of their actions and experiences. Now, I know that 3 dimensions may be a lot to work with for some, but it's what elevates average groundwork to something truly great, and that's what I think Vinland Saga is. Something truly great. Now, jokes aside, I get it. Many want Thorfinn to undergo character development while still maintaining his violent side. Yeah, that could be doable. It isn't impossible for him to undergo character shifts while massacring villages, but I think, and this is just me here, that it may prove to be a little more impactful for him to come to the realization of the true darkness of the life he has led. I agree fully that it's fun to watch badass Thorfinn tear through what seems to be the bad guy, but in the grand scheme of things, what he's doing is wrong. The life he leads is one of pure, unadulterated destruction and not one anyone else should want to have. Now, with that being said, his story does make for a good one and is what propels the rest of the manga moving forward. I'm going to share what's to come in the slave arc, which should encompass all of Season 2. If this isn't enough to change people's minds, then I don't know what is. Kick back, relax, and grab a drink. Without further ado, we are Dino Junkie, and this is why you should still be excited for Vinland Saga Season 2. The following video will contain some spoilers for Season 2 of Vinland Saga, aka the slave arc in the manga. Continue at your own risk. Jumping from where the prologue left off, it's known that Thorfinn has been sold into slavery. We don't pick back up with the little miscreant right away, however. The perspective shifts to the journey of a slave named Einar, and just what it has been like for him to be one. At the end of the voyage the slave merchants have brought him on, he is looked at to be sold to 3 men. One being a noble in search of a... how do I put this in YouTube terms? Slave to do acts of arousal. Yep. Another being Leif Erikson in search of Thorfinn so that he may free him, and then a farmer named Kettle who ends up buying Einar, and whose farm ends up being the main setting for the entirety of this arc, and a crucial element in the struggles of those who live on it. Soon, it is quickly realized that Thorfinn too inhabits the farm as a slave, and Kettle wishes for the two of them to be chums as his goal is to cut down a forest on his land to provide space for a new wheat field. Einar and Thorfinn meet, and there's a bit of a noticeable difference in the two young men's physiques. Einar's quite tall, and it's clear that Thorfinn hasn't grown, like at all. However, it is clear that he has aged and has taken on a much more quiet demeanor following the crushing blow of Askeladd's death. Yes, he somehow managed to top how quiet he was before. Now, I don't think I need to address the ethics of slave owning being a bad thing, but for what these two got in terms of a master is pretty much the best that a person could hope for, other than, not being sold off in the first place. He tells them that if they clear the forest, sow the fields, and effectively grow the crops, mainly wheat, that he'll buy them until they can pay for their freedom. Now, as every Minecraft Let's Play ever has started, their labor of chopping down trees begins. However, the other farmhands that work for Kettle clearly don't uphold their boss's style of mutual respect, and refuse to treat Einar and Thorfinn well, nor help them with the task of deforesting. This is what starts a noticeable dichotomy as Thorfinn's newfound passive and exceeding, or what I like to refer to as little bitch behavior, collides with Einar's refusal to just be tossed around on the whims of those that hold just the slightest bit of power over them. Thorfinn struggles with PTSD for a while in the beginning of this arc, almost collapsing in on himself. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to watch Thorfinn fall from what he was. However, it is Einar who is able to take on the burden of leading the beginning of this story, which is great, while Thorfinn takes some much needed time to figure some stuff out. It's nice to see a different leading perspective for a bit, especially from Einar, cause the dude's a sweetheart. A hot-headed sweetheart, but a sweetheart nonetheless. He's someone with strict ideals and morals as someone who experienced the aftermath of war. And now this, as you might think, does create some tension for Einar as he lost everything he had to someone like Thorfinn. Amazingly though, instead of pushing Thorfinn away or lashing out violently, he forgives him of the acts he has committed from seeing how much it haunts him, and decides instead to truly befriend the Shaggy Runt. Thorfinn gains the closest to a brother that he could have in Einar, and in their friendship the two save each other countless times. Moving forward, characters are introduced and fleshed out like Snake, the badass leading soldier on the farm who goes toe-to-toe with Thorfinn, or Old Man Kettle, Kettle's father, an old man with quite a bit of spunk left who takes an interest in Einar and Thorfinn, or Arnheid, Kettle's handmaid and prized possession that Einar can't help but fall in love with. As Thorfinn and Einar begin to connect with the inhabitants of the farm more and more, we get to watch Thorfinn find reasons for wanting to live again. The story continues on, and a lot of moving elements are introduced, and our newfound cast of characters are put at risk time and time again. From being used as the punching bags of soldiers, allied and enemy, dealing with berserkers, or caught in the middle of a war, Thorfinn, Einar, and Arnheid must maneuver their way in and out of constant danger lurking at their feet, whilst also trying to keep safe the people that they have formed strong friendships or relationships with. There's so much to talk about in this arc, with a ruthless Canute moving in on Kettle's farm to continue his conquest, to Leif's pursuit of freeing Thorfinn. As I read, every new chapter brought with it something else for me to worry or get excited about. Is Thorfinn going to be able to deal with his trauma and become a different person than the broken one he is now? Will Canute and Thorfinn get to meet face to face once again? How is Thorfinn going to juggle achieving his dreams in the midst of conflict while also not killing anyone? Will he be able to keep a vow to never kill someone again while that primal beast he used to be still lies dormant inside him? And will Old Man Kettle survive the war on Kettle's farm? Please, I can't deal with him dying, just at least save Grandpa Kettle. But above all, I asked, will Einar get a shot at Arnheid's milkers? Or will he be left to be forever and always astronomically down bad? This arc and soon-to-be Season 2 of Vinland Saga is a dynamic one with a large cast of characters and interweaving plot and story elements. This arc doesn't just have one conflict, it's a 3-act saga with a plethora of conflicts plaguing the main cast of characters sequentially as they evolve as people in the setting realistically would. They move on a counterbalance of hope and despair, with characters having mirrored development. Canute fears becoming his father as he incidentally, or not so incidentally, mimics history, allowing greed to have a seat at his table. Arnheid pines for a life that is now long lost as she serves as a tool for work and for sex. Kettle tries to control and maintain not just his farm and his reputation, but the people on his farm as well. And Thorfinn and Einar work to better each other, having the others back when they become either too hot-headed or passive, ultimately leading to Thorfinn's dream of a world without war, violence, or slavery. One that juxtaposes Canute's idea of utopia altogether. These characters have deep histories or dark backgrounds that can affect their decisions, or sometimes, in a more flesh and blood type manner, come raging in like a bat out of hell and onto Kettle's farm. Conflict is by no means absent within what is my favorite story arc of Vinland Saga, it just looks a little different than its predecessor. Violence does not ever leave the life of Thorfinn, he just manages to handle it differently. That's not to say he can't take care of himself, he's still badass, just in a completely different light. He and Einar can still throw a few punches when needed and win fights, they just work to take the high road as much as possible. The slave arc is what begins Thorfinn's push towards a better life and purpose in his father's dream of Vinland, and quite truthfully is where Thorfinn is the most like Thor's he has ever been. It's crucial to his character growth and development, and provides one of the greatest achievements of high stakes within a story. Watching as Kettle's farm falls deeper into chaos, and how the people living there, slave or master, either rise above it and escape harm, or are caught in its clutches and fall victim to one of many external or internal threats. A masterclass in storytelling, the slave arc of Vinland Saga is bound to turn heads, which is why I think you should be excited for Vinland Saga Season 2. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Special shout out to anyone who made it all the way here to the end. It really does mean a lot to me. This video may have seemed like me beating a dead horse over the head, but I really wanted Vinland Saga to be better represented so that more people are able to enjoy it as much as I did. Feel free to check out one of my other videos while you're here, and have a great rest of your day. My name is Max, and I'll see you soon. Peace.